It's me again. The last time you saw me, I just finished the read-along step. Now I'm ready for the practice step. I practice the story so I can reach my goal and read like I speak. I time myself while I read the story aloud quietly. I click any word I stop on, stumble on, or want to skip. I click Finished if I finish reading before the bell sounds. Let me show you.
Martin Cooper stood on a busy city street holding a strange
call. He called his
rival
at another telephone. 8000X became known as the world's first cell phone. I click the last word I read, and the number of words I read during the first practice shows up in the scores box. I read a lot better than I did during the cold timing, but my goal is 110, and I didn't reach it, so I have to practice again.
Martin Cooper stood on a busy city street holding a strange object.
When I started Read Naturally Live, I had to practice the story lots of times before I could reach my goal. Now, I sometimes reach my goal in only 2 practices.
But you might not recognize it.
I reached my goal! But I have to practice one more time, because Mr. O set my required practices at 3. That's okay. It takes me that many practices to read like I speak anyway. In the quiz step, I answer questions about the story. Some are multiple choice. They look easier than they are. I do better when I slow down to read the question and each choice before picking the answer I think is best. I can look back in the story to check my work. I can change my answer as long as I do it before I click Next. That's good, because I have to answer all the questions right to pass. I got it right! Sometimes I have to write my own answer to a question. The computer can't check this kind of answer, so Mr. O checks it later during the pass step. To answer the vocabulary question, I click Select, and a menu of answers opens. Each word in the menu matches one of the synonyms, antonyms, or definitions listed in the question. I select the answer I think is best. Each word in the menu is a blue word in the story. So, if I get stuck on a word, I can easily find it and see what it means in this story. After I use all the menu words and check my work, I click Next. Sequence questions are my favorite. It's fun to click and drag the events from the story into chronological order. Chronological order means the events are in the order they actually happened. Oops! Something must be wrong. If I miss even one part of a question, the whole question's wrong. In some stories, like this one, there's a fill-in-the-blank question instead of a sequence question. When I do this kind of question, I read the sentence, click the blank, and read the words in the menu. Then, I use what I learned from the story to pick the answer I think is best. After I fill in the blank, I read the sentence again to make sure I'm right. I do the rest of the sentences the same way, and then I click Next. Now for the retell step.
Retell or summarize the story in your own words. Click Review Story if you want to read the story again.
I click back to close the story. Then, I use my own words to retell or summarize the story. If I see the clock, I know I'm running out of time. And if I finish before time's up, I click Next. When I worked in the phonics stories, I didn't have to write a retelling. I practiced a word list instead. First, I listened to another lesson on the letter pattern.
Look at the words.
Then, I clicked Start Timing and read the words down the columns quietly. I knew I would have to make fewer than 3 mistakes to pass, so I was careful to click any word I didn't know.
Rave.
When I read the last word, I clicked Finished and the page changed to make it easy to read across. When I read the last word, I clicked Finished again. My teacher set these requirements for me. Read the word list in less than 60 seconds and practice at least 3 times. While I'm waiting for Mr. O, I read the story one more time. Then, I click Next to play Wordtastic. After I do 10 Wordtastic words, I read the story again. This helps me be ready to pass when I read for Mr. O. That's a lot of information. I'll stop talking and let you do the practice step, quiz step, and retell or word list step. Then, read the story and play Wordtastic before you watch the next part.